We are very excited on this our live stream show because like we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks between me and Dheeraj, and I think like having a live stream video like where we show that the goal of basically like we there are due to complexity of AI or like how you can use certain AI tools and also like how you can navigate certain AI tools. I think due to complexity, there are so much nuance that required for people to really understand. And there are so much things that couldn't be said in the written text through newsletter posts. So that's why this is one of our reasons to basically have this live stream show where the goal is we want to help you to show you through live screen sharing how to use AI tools and share you some tips and tricks as well as like cool hacks that you can you can take example from as well as apply to your AI daily workflow. And uh, yeah, the name of this show we call it One Shot Show. I guess you already know where the one shot comes from. But yeah, we basically already this is our season one. This is our first time. But the last 2 weeks, we had this live stream as well, me and Dheeraj, and then from there we decided how can we make this more regular on weekly basis at least. So that's why we have decided to run this. This is the first season. We already locked in for 4 topics already for the next 4 weeks. So it will happen uh, every Wednesday at the same time. And if you already subscriber for AI Maker, you can see on your email that there are 4 topics already locked in. But we are quite open as well. We are very open to receive some feedbacks or like during our conversations that if you want us to deep dive on certain AI tools or like certain AI workflow, then we will take into account and maybe adjust in our schedule even for the next 4 weeks basically. And yeah, I think for quick introduction, so uh, yeah, my name is Wyndo, so I'm building AI maker, so I share practical tips on how to use AI. But every week you can expect like one automation AI workflow that you can take example and also apply in your daily work. And here's Dheeraj. You can introduce yourself here.
Yep. So hi, I'm Dheeraj. Pleasure to be, part of this whole show with Window here. I am building GenAI Unplugged, and similar to Window, I am also a builder. I publish a lot of things about building with AI. Teaching is my primary forte. So that's what I do with my YouTube channel as well as GenAI Unplugged. You can expect like this live show that we have created. Season 1 is, 4 episodes are already logged in. And like Windows said, most welcome to receive feedback. If you guys want us to deep dive into any particular tool topic, we'll be happy to do that. The whole season is structured in a way that some of these conversations would be live presentations where we build things so you can replicate it at your end and take home the value. And some of the things could be just chatting about or auditing a particular tool, a new tool. And some things would be like coming from you guys as a feedback that we would definitely be happy to deep dive into it. So yeah, I'm very excited, and thank you all of you for joining here today.
Yeah, thank you everyone. And also like that, I would suggest to basically join this live stream through laptop or a computer because like we are going to share some screens. So I'm not sure like how it will look like through mobile phone. So yeah, feel free to move to computer or like you can also stick with the mobile. Uh, yeah, whatever makes you comfortable, basically. So today's topic we are going to talk about how to build content research agent using Cloud Code, and this wh- wh- s- the problem is whenever I say Cloud Code, like whenever people hear about Cloud Code, is it feels like too technical because like you need to go to terminal and then you need to install through this npm install, those kind of like technical word. So, but we promise like this whole workflow is not technical, and this is more like a as a uh, you can do this for research. You can also do this for content creation. So it's more about uh, building or like writing content or like building content as well. So we want to keep it like as technical as possible. And so, Diraj, so if people stick to this video, so what are they going to learn about this topic today?
So yeah, so today we are going to build, like Windows said, an AI research agent. And Matthew, I see your question that you are a beginner. You would like to see how to build an agent. That's what exactly I'm going to go through. Share my screen and share the entire process of how you can build a research agent and what it means to build a research agent, what it requires, and at the end of the day, you can use that research agent just to replicate that at your end and start creating value from it. Secondly, what it would also mean is today I have picked up my own travel blog. I had been blogging like for last 17 years now. So I'll be not going into the technical niche here. I'll be rather using a non-technical niche, which is like travel, and show you the example that this thing can be applied to any niche, not just technical. So that's what, like, at the end of the day, people can expect who have joined all of us, who all have joined us, that they can build a live agent just either after the call or during this session as well, if you are following on the laptop.
Right. Okay. So should we start?
Yeah, I think let me share my screen and let's quickly deep dive, and start creating the
Right.
agent. All right. Let me know, like, if you all can see my screen. So sorry guys, like also this is the first time that we are using the screen share feature of Substack as well. So it's like going to be, if something happens, just let us know. Okay, I think you should be able to see for now. It should be like spiraling out. Are you able to see my diagram?
Yes, we can see it.
All right, perfect. So here we go. So this is what we are going to build, and I'm going to walk you through what layers are
Is
there.
it possible? Sorry, can you
Zoom
zoom
in.
in? Is it possible to zoom in? Yeah.
Let me go ahead and open this up.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, this is good.
Is it better now?
Zoom. Oh, this is too much.
Okay, looks
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. I think this. Yeah, I think this one is good.
All right, all right. So
Right. Yeah.
So this is what the setup would look like for the agent that we are going to build. And like I said, we'll be using Claude Code over here. At the bottom, you can see like there are some prerequisites over here. Um, First instance, you should have like Claude Code installed. The agent that we are building today is Claude Code based. Then what we would need is Perplexity. And I'm going to talk about like why we would need Perplexity and why Firecrawl is needed. So these two are the keys which are required. And then like any type of text editor, or I'm going to use Visual Studio Code, which is like a free which is like a free code editor that you can also use. I use Claude Code as a integrated terminal into it. So but you can feel free to choose any type of code editor that you are using. At the
Yeah.
bottom.
I also want to add. Sorry. Yeah,
Mhm.
I also want to add for like interface when you accessing Cloud Code, because like there are multiple ways that you can access Cloud Code. I think, but mainly it's basically two ways. The first one is terminal, so you can open terminal through the folder and you access Cloud Code. But also like if you use VS Code, or like for me I use Cursor, so you need to install the Cloud Code extension on VS Code. So from there, then you can access like Cloud Code extension through VS Code and Cursor. So that's like main two ways that you can access Cloud Code.
Right, right. And you guys can feel free, like whatever is comfortable. I have been always a .NET guy, so Visual Studio feels home to me. So that's why like I choose Visual Studio Code. But yeah, like Windows said, you can use Cursor and other even like the integrated or even like the command line utility of Mac or Windows too. So now coming back, these are the prerequisites that you would need. Then what we have is three layers, right? So the whole agent is part of like three layers. First layer, we are going to set up the perplexity that gives our agent the ability to go out of the system, right? Out of the knowledge that Claude has, as whatever the knowledge cutoff date Claude has, we want to like go outside it. We want it to have the ability to do research, and we are going to power it with Perplexity AI web search, right? So that's why we have like the Perplexity MCP server. That is what we are going to set up. And the second thing we are going to set up is Firecrawl, which is like a web scraper. So whatever research we would get from Perplexity, there will be some links, websites that we need to scrape, like the agent need to scrape and understand and come up with the plan. So that's where Firecrawl is there. And then you can see this Jina AI. So it's like again, kind of a free backup for Firecrawl, because Firecrawl gives you like 500 free pages one time. I'm sorry, like I have it over per month. It's not per month. It's like one time for an account, and then you have to pay for per month. But then like I use Gina AI in order to fetch, does the same thing. You can also now use Gemini CLI, as they have launched, that also has a skill to basically fetch the web pages. So this is like the layer where we provide our agent the integration to the outside world. And then second layer is the business context, which is very, very important. And as I have this over here, that context profiles that we are going to create, which is like your business context, where we say like who you are. So for example, in this case, uh, I have like about 562 posts on my travel blog. Have been running it for like since 2009. It's 14 years, but like more or less 17, 16, 17 years. Then what you write, what are your pillars, what are your kind of audience, right? The ICPs, what is your voice. So that all goes into content strategy, and we are going to share all this at the end of the session as well, the templates that you can go back and use. And then this is where the competitor watch list is, who you compete with, gaps, opportunities. So that is what going as a business context for Claude to understand your business and the agent, and then like do the research, synthesize all that, and present you with the findings. So at the top, you can see content researcher agent, which is more like a system prompt and a YAML formatter. And I'm going to go through how the file looks like. So that's like basically the overall setup that we are going to build. And that's how a particular agent is more or less structured when it comes to like doing a research outside it. This kind of pattern you can go ahead and utilize for other types of agents as well. Either it's like a YouTube search agent or research agent, or you can build your technical verifier agent. Similar type of setup would be required for you. So this is very essential and foundational when you are building agents, especially like when it comes to content creation and content side of things. Now, before I
Yeah,
jump in, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So yeah, I just want to add something on the MCP servers, I guess. I think like, so why do we need Perplexity as well as Firecrawl and Gina Reader, right? So so as you know, like MCP is basically the way that the AI can interact with external apps. But because like we want to do research, then we want Claude to have access to internet, which is uh, to browse the website and also scrape pages. So while Cloud can also do it with their own built-in web search and web fetch feature, but the reason why we want Perplexity and Particle, because like Perplexity is built-in AI for research, and they have this capability to do like multiple research. When you run queries with Perplexity, it runs multiple pages and get you the summary and then get you the insight. So that's why we need Perplexity here, because it's already built. AI is already built in for
Mm.
research and can do so much stuff. While Firecrawl is basically more reliable, I would say, compared to Claude built-in web fetch, because like some in some cases, like somehow Claude was is failing whenever I ask to run a web fetch page,
Right.
basically. So I think Firecrawl is reliable tools to do it. So that's why we integrate this. So because it will help us to generate a better outputs eventually.
Absolutely, Window. Absolutely. And it's a must have, I would say. Otherwise, like things fail and they fail silently, and you don't have the full research backup then.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So now, again, before going into the demo part of it, just like a high level flow of how things work. So let me open this as well from the preview. Right. So this is how basically the flow looks like. So what we are going to do, we are going to just type in research Spiti Valley. So Spiti Valley is a location in high Himalayas of India, and it says like to 2026. So that's what, because it's a travel blog, I want to research on this topic. What happens is like Claude Code would load the agent that we have created. It would read the context files. So this is what the context files we are going to build. This is how it understands your business and what expectations you have. Then it is going to do a perplexity search, which is like Windows said, AI based search. And these are some of the things it might try to search about road conditions, permits, because this now understands the context from here. So this is what the search would go in from Claude as an agent. And this is where like the competitor angles, what are outdated things would come into play. And interestingly, it has like this devil on wheels as well, which is nothing but like my same blog. Earlier I used to call it devil on wheels. It converted into a rebrand, but it figured it out that okay, no, this is something similar, right? More like a competitor, but rather it's not a competitor to me, it's more like myself. So it must be there in the context profile that we have created. Then it is going to filter it through our business lens, what it matters, and then it is going to provide a structured JSON that either we can use, preview, or do what we want. So now with this flow, how the setup looks like and how the overall flow works behind the scenes, let's see how the project looks like, how the structure looks like.
Can I ask you one thing?
Mhm.
So basically, the fire crawl will only scrap competitors' article, right? So basically, the rules is whenever Perplexity run research across web pages, and then whenever Perplexity find like certain competitors' posts or
Right.
like web pages, then Firecrawl will go there and
Yes.
scrape it and analyze it through these three lens, right?
Right. So that's what
Got
it
it.
is going to
Got it.
happen, right? Because like this is going to give us like either some context would come in as a part of Perplexity research, and the output of the Perplexity AI in terms of text, that is also getting input, as well as there will be some citations of the research that Perplexity would have done, and those citation links would be fed into Firecrawl, or would be used by Firecrawl to scrape that content, and all that content would be fed to our, through our lenses, and it is going to synthesize what matters for my audience, like as a traveler, right? So that's how it is basically going to work.
Got it.
Right. So now let's go back to the project, how the project is set up. So I'm going to flatten out everything here. And like I said, I use Visual Studio Code. So you can spin up Visual Studio Code, and we are going to provide this, a templatized project structure as well to you guys. So I'm going to start like an integrated terminal into it. Okay. I don't use the plugin of it. I use integrated terminal inside it.
I see.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just
I
because
sometimes
yeah.
I sometimes combine in between the two because I like the simplicity of plugins, but sometimes I feel like the terminal looks cooler as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I always wanted to work in a terminal. So finally Claude gave me that
Yeah, yeah.
opportunity. So yeah. So you can see like right now we have created this particular project. It's a directory you can call, and this is where all the files lies, right? So the most important thing, we have a readme file over here, is the most important thing, like we said, as the base layer, right? Which is the first layer. That's where the MCP server configuration comes into play. So first thing that we have to do is set up the MCP server. So MCP server goes in this file .mcp.json. I'm not going to open this because it has like my live Perplexity API key as well as like Firecrawl key, just to be, not sharing the sensitive information. But this is how the file looks like. I have this in the template folder as well for you guys. So what you are going to do is copy this file and paste it into the root folder of your project as .mcp.json, and you are going to fetch the Perplexity key and Firecrawl key. And how you are going to fetch it is, like, if I come over here, so basically if you register yourself on Firecrawl .dev, you can sign up with any Gmail account, right? And at the right hand side on the overview itself, you're going to see this key over here. So you're going to copy this key and you are going to come back and you're going to paste it over here, like for the Firecrawl one, right? Similarly, for the Perplexity one, you can go to your account over here. But for the Perplexity one, you would need some sort of top up in terms of money. Like you can like basically I loaded with $5 and then it continues. What you would end up doing is, like, at the bottom of your account settings, you would see this API section where you would have to create a new API group. I have already created a GenAI Unplugged group. So when you create this new API group, it is more like segregation. Then you are going to get all these sections once you have created the group. So after creating the group, you need to click on this API keys, and once you can see, like, it is loading now. So it is like API keys, and you can basically click on this copy button. You need to create it a new key, and then you can click on this copy key, and then you can come back and paste it. So once you have these two keys available to you and you paste it over here, you create this file and drop it in your root directory. That's the first thing that you have to do. And our layer one from the diagram is now up and running. Like it's there now, right? From the prerequisite, you would have already installed the Claude Code at your system. So this is all documented for you guys as well in the README file. So you can see, like, prerequisites, all these things. And then, like I said, this is the template of the .mcp.json file. And what you can also do is, if you don't want to like copy this, there is this the direct command that you can also run. But I mean, since we are giving the template, you can just drop into your project and get going from there. So that's like the first thing. First layer is completed over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the Claude in this project. So and you will see like what happens. So I'm going to expand this and I'm going to write for Claude. So now you can see that as soon as I have this file .mcp.json over here with the configurations done, it is telling me 2 new MCP servers found. And these are the ones, right? So I'm like just going to like accept it. So now that means it has the access to the MCP servers within the project itself. If you have configured these MCP server at your root or basically user level Claude, you can do that as well. Then you don't need to configure it over here. So this is like at the project level that we are showing, but there is .mcp.json at the Claude root directory, which gets stored in your user level, and you can configure the server globally for all the projects.
Yeah, and also you can also ask Claude to basically find the MCP config where it is installed. You can just ask it, and then it will find you whether it is installed in the root folder of root level on your computer or the project folder of your computer. So ideally, for me, I put it on the root level. But if you want to have specific MCP for specific projects, then you would like to put it inside the project folder.
Right.
And also to set the MCP JSON, it's really easy. You can just ask Claude to, whenever you find like error or whenever the MCP couldn't run. So let's say, can you run research using Perplexity and then it couldn't find the MCP? Then you can just highlight the file that you have with MCP JSON and just ask Claude to fix it. Then ideally it will just fix themselves. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's the cool thing about it. A lot of people, or a lot of my mentees ask me that, hey, I mean, what if I get stuck, right? And what is this Claude Code? Do I need to know Claude Code about it? you don't need to know anything about code. I think like in Claude Code, code is just a word now. Um, you can just like
Yeah.
communicate in plain simple English or any natural language, and
Yeah.
then like Claude is going to build it for you. Wherever you are stuck, just ask Claude to fix it for you, like Window is saying. It
Yeah.
is going to find out, figure it out, or help you figure it out how to fix a thing. It's just that you just need to keep on building without thinking that you will get stuck. Claude will
Yeah.
help you with each and every step. And whatever ideas you have in mind, just dump it out, and Claude is going to make it much and much better. Like even with this agent, whatever we are going to provide it to you, you can feel free to communicate or interact, brainstorm with Claude to make it much more better and fine tuned for your use cases as well, right? So now
Right.
we have this first layer created. This second layer was basically the brand context or your own business context, right? That you had to create. So for that, what I did is like in the dot Claude folder over here. So this dot Claude folder is for the Claude to read always, right? So everything that is related to or readable to Claude, you can keep everything organized under the dot Claude folder over here. So here what I have is research profile. So this is where the research profiles comes in. It's just my way of configuring it, but you can feel free to put this folder anywhere, and then you just have to mention when we are defining the agent where your business context lies. So I organize all my business context under this itself. So like for example over here you can see that these three files that we had in the layer 2 of our overall architecture are present. So if I open up the business context, so this is where you can see um, it is telling me what this file is like, not exactly me, but when Claude will read this file, it will tell that hey, this file provides the business context for all research agent, not just like let's suppose this one. Maybe I want to create like a technical SEO research agent, next one. You can do that. So this is like at the top, the company identity is there, type, website, platform. I'm using WordPress. There are 562 posts already, 14 plus years old. What is my mission statement? What are my target audience? Avatar A, Avatar B. Then content focus areas. These are the locations of my content focus areas. And what you guys can do is like you can just even like if we are providing, I'll provide like a we are going to provide the templatized version of it as well, but also the example version that I have over here. You can just ask Claude to create your own version based on your.
Right.
It is going to replace everything that we have in this example and create a similar file for you. And if you think that there are some more nuances that you can add for your business, you can pretty much add it yourself. But I would highly recommend that once these files are created, go through it, and you can see that basically in even in my context, I use some local languages as well, which is like Hindi, Punjabi. Some words are there. So now Claude knows that these words are there, and I have to like, let's suppose if want to extend it for creation of the content, I mean, these words would stay for throughout my context profile. So that's how you start adding your voice, things you
Right.
talk about and all that stuff. So that's like the
Yeah.
business context profile. The second one was more like the content strategy, right? So how my content strategy is structured. So these are my content pillars that I, kind of write articles about route guides and itineraries, for practical how-tos, road status and conditions, trip reports, destination deep dives. So more like comprehensive travel guides. Then this is like, I mean, this is like just a very high level of brand voice, but like I have like 100-line document in general that I use for my business, when it comes to brand voice, and that gets linked as a file over here instead of like these some specific points. So that you can also do as well, so that you are not mudding a single file. You are like keeping everything segregated and modularized as well. Then I have
Yeah.
some content format, the SEO focus, like what people do. The AEO part is also there, again, but very high level. Topics that we cover, topics we have to avoid. So you can see that I'm clearly telling it that I completely want to avoid all these generic stuff, listicle types, luxury resort, international tourism, political content, border regions, and all that, right? So this is what I completely telling it to avoid for my business brand. And finally, this is the meat of it, I would say. This is where you can have like direct competitors. So these are some of the competitors, and like I said, it figured out that I am myself is a competitor because this was an old brand and I converted into a new one. So it is treating all over the internet that this is also competing with me, although like everything gets redirected. These are some of the adjacent players. So these are some of the players where, this is more like a forum, more like a website and travel YouTube bloggers. So you can structure that as well. What are your direct and adjacent? What I have to monitor and our differentiation. So this is all the context that you are building, and all these files are going to help you build that context so that your agent is not generic, right? So now this
Right.
agent knows about you, knows about your business. That's
Yeah.
where the real value lies.
Yeah.
Window, you would
So
like
I
to
think,
add?
I want to add something as well, because like this is how I structure my newsletter. So it has like a profile, audience profile. It also like has the newsletter guideline and also like business context and everything. So whenever I write something or like research something, it already make its own reason through my business context. So I think it's really important to have this exercise before, whenever you want to start a project, whenever you want to run research or like to write some stuff or like to execute some projects. So you want to have this context to be exercised in the early in the beginning, but also like it don't get too overwhelmed with all of these informations, because like
Right.
there are two ways that you can do basically to speed up this process. The first one is like you can also ask Cloud to interview you. Let's say, hey, I want to run this project. Can you interview me everything that you need to know about my business context, about my audience, and so on in competitor? Then then the answer will then Cloud will execute and create the folders and files
Right.
according to your request. So that's the best way to basically a quickest way to basically uh, inject more content or like context to your projects, right? And another thing that I like to do is basically, so you can just ask Claude to analyze your existing content whenever you write a newsletter or like you write other stuff. You just analyze it and tell and ask Claude to basically extract your existing content to find your audience profile, to find your competitors, to
Right.
find your business context and everything. And again, and then it will kind of execute itself and create the folders. So I think, yeah, that's kind of like a quickest way for injecting Cloud with business context and ads and everything that we have explained here.
Right.
And yeah, I think, yeah, that's kind of like the way that I like to do it, basically.
Perfect, perfect. And I mean, you guys also need not worry because we are going to share all these files with you. So you can just drop it in, share your existing website content with Claude Code and ask it to like match it up. And then you start fine tuning based on the idea that Window has given about interviewing you on certain aspects. And then like it is going to build these profiles. So you have the starting point. You can just go take and build the business context and all these research profiles for yourself, right? So this completes the second layer that we had in our architecture, which is the context. And then comes the agent part of it. And you can see that agent is over here under the agents folder. I have this markdown file. And now you can see that this is just a plain, simple English language markdown file, right? There is no code in it, right? So those of you who might be wondering, for creating AI agents, I want to, know about Python or some other programming language. No, you don't. You just need to, you know, um, have a will to communicate, or have a problem to solve, work with Claude to build such files as well. It's not necessarily that you want to like just copy paste it. You can even ask Claude to find some gaps based on your context and do some sort of fine tuning to it as well, or maybe like create from scratch. Maybe put into Claude, give this as an example, and say, based on this, I want to create a YouTube research agent as well, right? So that also you can do. At the top, like at a very high level, and again, you can read about in the documentation how to structure a particular agent or a sub agent in Claude. We'll drop the link, and I mean, like the README file also has a link as well. But at the very top, what you are telling it is like, what is the name of your agent? So we are calling it like content researcher. Then you have a description that is a deep research agent for topic explanation before content creation. So this is not going to create the content, it is going to put the ideas or create the pipeline for you. So it is going to read the business context, uses Perplexity, scrapes the competitive content, and deliver structured research briefs with sources. And these are the tools that we are allowing it. We are telling it that you have read tool, blob tool, grep tool, bash, webfetch, Perplexity search, and Firecrawl scrape. Sorry. So these are some of the tools. And for the model, I have Sonnet configured over here. And why not Opus? I would say that Opus, so there is like this cost thing that you have to also consider, whether it makes sense for a particular type of task to have the costliest model or not. So something
Right.
like creative content writing, maybe I'll opt for Opus because I'm on max plan. I can ask Opus to write content outlines for me. But for something like this, I would fall back on Sonnet because it is
Yeah.
equally good for something like this.
Yeah. Opus can cost you so much token basically. But also like I think you need to also activate the thinking mode whenever you use Sonnet. I think activating the thinking mode will generate a better output as
Better.
well for the research. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Right. But it costs a little more token. So I mean, like based on the
Right.
kind of task that you have, you can fine tune. But for this particular task of basic content research and synthesis, you can use token with you can use Sonnet with like default thinking level that it has. Then I mean, we are providing it a role that you are a research specialist for Discover with Dheeraj, which is the profile that we had created, and Himalayan travel blog. And this is what the travel blog looks like. I didn't show you as right. So this is like how the travel blog looks like. So pretty comprehensive. Um, I'll just go back. So yeah, so basically after that, this is the further elaboration of the rule, and you can see that what we are telling it is load the context before doing anything. So this is what the business context, content strategy, and competitor watch list comes into play. That it is going to read everything, and then it is going to understand what we are asking for as a request to it. That is like the step one, understand the request, which avatar it's primarily for, whether it's a first time road tripper or returning adventure traveler. Again, this is being built based on the research profile that has been created. So similarly, once that is why it is essential to build the layer 2 first. Once you have the layer 2, your agent would be more contextualized to your business, right? Then it's going to perform
Yeah.
a web search, use Perplexity MCP tool. Again, we are providing it over here, and you can see that I have like a configuration that run 1 2 batches search, max 3 total Perplexity call. Why? Because I have burned myself in terms of Perplexity cost. I had like about $20, and when I started experimenting with these, um the agents will run like for each of the query it breaks down, it would just run a call, right? And sometimes it would use Sonar as well, which is like a higher cost model on Perplexity, where I don't need such a research, right? So in that case, like my API credits were like just exhausted in no time. So that's why like I have this section. So I learned it, by burning my hands. So just search one, search two, what needs to be done. So that ways it's a batch search. You can do batch search in Perplexity. No need to do like one per query kind of a search. That's what I figured it out later on. And at the bottom, you would see that there are some cost optimization, keep API bills low kind of a section that I have created, which is like, which helps me keep the what is so that this is the example that I was saying, right? Earlier, it used to like make all these calls at once, right? So this is going to like make 5 calls burning, but now like with one, it is going to group everything and make one call itself, right? And then I have a high level kind of a ceiling as well. Like maximum 3 perplexity calls is what I need, right? So that one particular query does not burn everything out, right? So coming back like on the cost optimization, so this is very very critical, guys. Like make sure that you have the cost optimization put into it, otherwise you'll burn your perplexity credit in no time. um, then coming on to like we are done through the step 2. So once the research is done, it is going to do the competitor analysis. So whatever it has found in the research, then what earlier we were talking about, the primary tool is Firecrawl, but the backup is like webfetch with Gina AI, so or like curl with Gina AI. So Gina AI is also like a free kind of tool. You don't need even like an API key. They provide it, but they provide like good amount of free tier scraping. Now what we are telling it is like analyze 2 to 3 top competitor articles on this topic. What angles did they take? What did they miss? Is their info outdated? Prices, permits, road conditions? What are the differentiators of our first hand experience, right? So then like basically check our competitor watch list for known gaps. Finalize. Finally, it is synthesizing the findings. And then this is the output format that we want. And where we want to save the output format, you can see that research output folder is created. So I wanted to put it over here, but if you wanted to put it somewhere else, you can define the directory path over here and it is going to put it. So I have the JSON here, and at the bottom, after saving JSON, it is going to also create a markdown version of it. And like I already showed you, at the bottom, we just have some cost optimization rules. And finally, some rules are like always load profiles first, cite resources, filter through your audience lists, and then use plain English, flag if information might be outdated, prioritize safety relevant information, which is road hazards, altitude, weather. Again, these are very much in line with my own brand, my own travel, my own, how I have written those 500 plus articles over a period of like last, 15, 16 years. So that's how it has um, pra- uh, put the rules in. These are non-negotiables, and you would see that there is a duplicity as well of these rules. Like we have these rules at the top and the bottom as well. And why so? Because you can see it's a 163 line system prompt, you can call it, right? Uh, at times what happens is like when you send the prompt to AI, it reads the top, it reads the bottom, which like it always keeps up, just to maintain the context. So these are like the top and the bottom are very critical ones, and in between it might skim through your prompt. So that's, I mean, I'm not saying like it always 100% works like that, but that's how in various tests how the results have come, that you should always put the most important or non-negotiable stuff at the end as well and towards the top too. So and in between, if you have a lot of information, it is going to remember what was the last one, because that's how the context window is traveling through the context. So that's another tip of structuring this agent. So that's how whole the agent is structured along. So layer 3 is created, and now our setup is ready to run. So what we can do is I'll just go to the, let's suppose, readme file. I have this query over here, or maybe like I can just say, let's go back. And so one thing you can see now, I have Claude open. Everything we were just following basic files over here. I have Claude open. For those of you who are not familiar with Claude Code, you can see as soon as you open it, it comes into the plan mode. So plan mode is something where it is going to show you the plan first and then going to ask you to approve it so that it can act on it. So for any type of critical complex task, you should always start with plan mode. By default it goes in plan mode. Then you have to press shift tab twice, you can see, and then now it is saying accept edits on. That means like it is going to execute whatever I'm going to tell it to execute, not going to create a plan. Now with like upcoming versions or latest versions of Claude Code, it also at times, if the complex task it you have given it in this mode, it is going to transfer itself into plan mode automatically if Claude thinks that
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
it's a very complex task. So that is like a
Yeah.
safety guard now. Earlier it used to earlier it was not there. But
Yeah.
make it a
So,
habit of starting with plan mode.
yeah. Also, this is also the thing that chatbot doesn't have. Basically, like if you use also Claude Chat or ChatGPT, right, or Gemini, basically they are different than agents, so they don't have like this. They don't have an ability to basically execute or like changes files. So they don't have these edits or like they don't have this plan mode. So the plan mode is really critical. So whenever I want to before I execute some stuff, it's just I need to have the plan mode where I can see how the step by step that I would take to execute the stuff that I ask. So it's really important to have the plan mode because like it makes the output much more accurate and reliable and also grounded as well. So
Right.
it also help to uh, reduce hallucinations. Just
Right. Right. And another tip, like those of you who might be on, like, let's suppose Claude Pro version, not Max version, where you want to like save token on it. Generally, what you can also do is plan in the Opus. So you can see like right now, it's in Opus mode. So you can create your plan with Opus. But then like once you have created the plan and you are ready to execute, you can switch to Sonnet and then like execute the
yeah.
plan. So that would save your usage limits on a pro plan itself. So that's like a cool tip to always remember, especially like if you are using on the pro version of Claude. Otherwise, like it gets quickly exhausted with Opus. All right, so we are ready to the final for the final show, which is more like research. So, for the research part of or kicking off this agent, you have various choices like this project where we have opened Claude. It already knows the context of the project. So either I can ask it to, in plain, simple, natural language, or plain, simple English that do me a research on this particular thing. It is going to kick off the agent because it knows the context. Or you can use slash command as well. So if I like, let's suppose use the slash command, you can see that I have this content. So these are all my things. So I mean, these are all the agents that I have. That's why it is showing like so many of them. So you can see that now it is going to show the agent as well. So what I will do is like I'm going to basically just say search or do me research on, let's suppose, Ape 2026. Okay. So again, it's a location based search. It's I want to like do a bike trip on Ladakh, which is like a location in the remote Himalayas of India. I wanted to do a research on it. Just a typo here. Just delete it. And now it is like going to understand the context. So you can see that it has started. I'll kick off the content research agent because it knew the context of your project from the Claude. So that's why it was able to launch it. And you can see that there is no specialized command that you are giving it in order to launch your content researcher agent. It is basically just launching it itself as soon as you just gave it the intent. So based on the intent, it is running.
Yeah.
And now because it is being run for the very first time, so you can see that now it is making a query which is like more like that compound query based on our cost optimization rules. And now it is asking me to allow it. So the moment I'll allow it, now it is like always allowed because I had not allowed like a star kind of a thing for the permission, or it is running in a permission mode, like Claude is running in a permission mode where it is going to ask us which whether it I'm giving it a permission to run Perplexity under this folder or not. So
Yeah.
now it is going to
There is
ask me
also
the fire crawl.
right. No, no. So yeah, there is also interesting between agent and chatbots, right? So because like the agent has the context of your business and everything, the context about you. So you don't need to run a long prompt as you do on, let's say, Claude Chat or like Gemini or ChatGPT. So we used to have this deep research with a very long prompt, right? But
Right.
because of the agent is basically already know about your business context and it reads your files, so you can just tell your intent without like really going into deep of your instruction. and it will make its own reasoning and its own execution to read the files as per instruction for based on what we just explained earlier. And then yeah, it will execute and give you the outputs. I think, and and this makes the whole workflow is more repeatable. So you don't need, yeah, again, you don't need to save like a really a long prompt. You just tell your intent and your goal, and it will make its own reason through the context that you have provided in this
Right.
folder. Yeah.
Right, right. And those of you who were watching behind the scenes as Wyndo was talking, like it was using Firecrawl, it was using Jina AI as well. So it is saving on your Firecrawl credits as well. So that way is like it's very helpful to use both of them with the fetch tool, and save some money. So it's not just like a agent. It's uh it's something that we have built and we are sharing it with you guys, which is more like almost there as a production agent, right? With all these cost
Yeah.
optimization in place as well. So it is going to take
Yeah.
some few minutes. I think about like 3-4 minutes it takes, and it is going to like quickly output the findings. And the best part is that it is going to tell me where the action I have to take. It's not basically like just an output and then I figure it out kind of a thing. Rather, it is going to, you can see that in the research output, two files have been generated. One is like research brief. The other one is again, a JSON file, and there is a MD file as well. So you can use any of them. You can, use the Markdown file to read it in a Markdown viewer, and you can see now it has completed the research and it is outputting the summary as well over here. And from the summary, it's saying the big opportunities, competitor articles like these, code fuel is like this, actual price is this, major competitor URLs is this, most returning 404, that is uncontested ranking space for us. These are some of the key findings for budget, timing, new regulations. No competitor does all three. So verified 2026 cost, root decision. So what is the recommended angle? It is also telling us read this tail competitor data hook and then like build a complete comprehensive guide. And maybe like I can use this to update my existing articles now, right? Or I can create a new article for 2026 guide itself and start ranking pretty quickly because it's like an old site, pretty deep into the roots of Google search and other like even the AI search. It is going to pretty much quickly start ranking me on this particular keywords. And if I show you the JSON, so this is like more like a JSON, all the competitor article angle gap for us, it has synthesized all that, and it has suggested an outline as well, so it will be much better looking over here. So you can see that over here key findings are season window is this, plan 8 weeks ahead, publish by May 2026. So that's what it is telling. It has at the top an executive summary as well. And then second is like 2026 budget reality for a 10-day solo trip exclusive of this transit. Again, very actionable. First time needs keep choosing it wrong. So which route to take? Again, like if you are familiar with that terrain, it might make really sense to you. But otherwise, like I'm just trying to say that it is very valuable information because those are two routes that a lot of people debate about where to go and how to reach that particular place. So it has figured it out all. Like AMS kind of acute mountain sickness is the number one trip ender and competitor undercover it. So I mean, like whatever I post, I should definitely highlight the risk of AMS. Fuel is most stressful logistic problem, right? So I mean, you can see that all these findings are there. Competitor analysis is also there. Strong SEO is there or not? How many likes are there? And then it is telling us a recommended angle, and finally it is telling us suggested outline as well. So that's the output that you receive when you run this agent and whatever we have built
Yeah.
today.
Is VS Code able to view this in the preview mode? Like,
Yeah, I
uh,
have. You can preview it. I had a plugin. You need to install like a
all right.
plugin.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
sorry
see.
about that. I
But
should have
also,
done that.
if you use cursor, basically you can do the preview stuff. So the markdown, because like sometimes like the markdown sounds like very like
Right.
looks like a coding, right? But
Right.
if you use cursor, there is a button on the right of the screen. Basically,
Okay.
you can preview and then it will generate you into this proper heading where you can
Okay.
read it much easier, basically. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Like this, right?
So
I should have done
don't
it.
get discouraged. Yeah, yeah. Don't get discouraged with this
Right.
output on
Right.
Markdown.
Right.
Yeah,
And if you are using Visual Studio Code, you can like have this
yeah,
Markdown previewer as a plugin or extension installed into your Visual Studio Code. It's a free plugin. So you just like get that thing, and then you can see that you can use a split view here, and then like it is going to scroll like how the article is scrolling up. So that's basically your research output that you have received. It has a JSON as well, and in fact, like one of my subscribers, Kim, she went ahead and created like a visual out of it as well. Like she fed the JSON. All the JSON, the content researcher outputs, like all the 5 agents output, and she created like a visual graph out of it as well. So basically, you can ask Claude to further build on top of this, starting up directory, that you can build some sort of visualization if you are more like a visual person.
right. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's all adjustable basically. Right. All right. So I think we have arrived on the final session. So I guess if anyone want to have any questions around the workflow or like building your content research agent, just put it your question on the chat. But there is a question, Biraj. Like, how does the output from friend G? How does the output from this approach compare to the very well constructed deep research prompt? So let's say I use because I previously before Cloud Code, I used to run deep research whether using ChatGPT or 3 or like Gemini deep research. So when we run this deep research, we have this like a very long prompt, right? Well constructed, where we basically just uh, modify everything to customize and then very detailed and so on, right? But what do you think like the main difference between very long prompt on deep research feature, specifically
Right.
let's say on Gemini or
Mhm.
like Cloud, compared to building this on Cloud Code?
Right. So I think like the main thing between these two is the model that you are using behind the scenes, right? So even like to go and do this kind of deep research, right? You can integrate the deep research model if you want, right? Um, why
Yeah,
I burned up all $20 in like one query, because it was using Sonar, right? Behind the scenes, like Sonar Deep Research
right,
from Perplexity. So if you want to perform a kind of a deep research well integrated into your workflow, you can do that with this kind of setup as well. And it is going to, of course, give you a very deep research output, right? It is not, I mean, right now, the output that you have is more or less enough for someone like me, right? Who want to like just focus on my travel content and find out opportunities, right? But if you want to like do some sort of a thesis type of, deep research on a particular topic, and you need to create some sort of like a, very deep research output book, then of course this might not be enough, right? Because that deep research that you do like in Perplexity, or like using ChatGPT deep research mode, it is going to produce a lot more citation. It is going to like deep search into not just the web surface, but like behind the scenes as well. It searches, right, in the research directories as well, and then it cites everything together, right? So but that is available to you if you are ready to spend that money through this architecture as well. You just need to tell it that for this particular topic you have to use this model for Perplexity, and then it is going to produce that output for you. The best thing is that it gets integrated within your pipeline or your workflow. So I have this whole content OS pipeline, much like you, Window, right? Where everything is integrated over there. I don't need to like
yeah,
open up like ChatGPT or Perplexity, 5 different tools.
right,
I do it like
yeah,
in one session itself.
yeah, yeah. That's a kind of like a major unlock for me as well because like mainly I use Cloud and everything. If everything can be integrated inside Cloud, then I don't need to do like multiple tabs or like multiple apps to basically just run deep research because like the output of deep research is still the starting point, right? You still need to make sense of the deep research,
Right.
and bake into your workflow, whatever that you want to do. So I think like by having this inside of Cloud Code where all of the files or all of the outputs are ready inside the folders, then you can navigate or like you can edit or you can brainstorming session with the outputs that you
Right.
just you just done. So I
Right.
think that's a major unlock for me. There is another question as well from Eric. So do you have point of view for Firecrawl versus Apify as a scraper?
Yeah, I think like from the scraping standpoint, I find Firecrawl more than enough. In fact, like I have started using more Jina.ai since I found it through Claude itself, because like it provides me different types of abilities to do research. I don't use Apify because I mean I'm not like a big fan of like subscribing to so many APIs and then keeping a track of it. I
Right.
lose track of them, so I don't use Apify at all for now for my scraping capabilities. Firecrawl Gina.ai is more than enough and does the job for me.
Yeah, I think for my take for Apify is I think Apify is very helpful if you run multiple scrap because like Apify allows you to scrap
A lot
like
of content.
LinkedIn or like Instagram, YouTube,
Yeah,
and so on, right?
right.
So if you want the agent to run multiple scrapping, then Apify is a great choice. But for me especially like I use Apify for my make.com automation because I want to scrape multiple pages from multiple account on social media. But for like typical research on Cloud, I think Firecrawl
Yeah,
is
right,
already
right.
enough to
I think yeah,
to
the
yeah,
moment you go into the social media world, then you need like these agents because like
Apify.
your own
Yeah,
agents are blocked, right? If even if you
right,
create one, it gets blocked, right? So you need that VPN kind of thing behind the scenes, and it's like a headache to do. So then it becomes easier that you just use some Apify kind of a service. But for YouTube and web search, I think like we are more than covered over here.
right. Yeah. Another question from Naveen. Now you have given topic. What if Cloud can take the burning topic of domain from Reddit or link threads and generate an output? If so, how to do it?
Yeah, so I think like for Reddit, there is a skill that you can use to fetch Reddit threads. You can code it into
Yeah,
your Claude Code setup, and then like Claude Code would have the ability to search the Reddit threads. Otherwise, it does not do a fair job of out of the box. Like by default, Claude is not going to do a fair job of searching Reddit threads
yeah.
unless you have that skill put in place. It's a simple skill. We can share it as well, in some session.
There
um,
is, yeah, there is also MCP for Reddit as well. So
okay.
you can connect the Cloud with Reddit MCP, and then from there, Cloud will have access to posts, to comments, or like post comments as well as the trend of the subreddit. So
Okay.
yeah, you can explore from there. Basically,
Cool. Cool. I
cool.
think we are on
Yeah,
time. Maybe like few
right.
minutes over.
Right. Okay. So yeah, we are, yeah, I guess we are on time basically. So I appreciate you guys for joining our I or like this, we call this show one shot show. So appreciate you guys to basically join this live stream. And basically again, like we want to the goal of this live stream. So we will do this every week for the next 4 weeks. This is like a still season one, but feel free to DM me or like DM Dheeraj in case some topics that you want to add for our next session. But yeah, we are going to do this, and also like we want to help more people to basically navigate certain tools and share some tips, tricks, and cool hacks so you can learn and also apply in your daily workflow. So yeah, I think the video will be sent later on. You can
Right.
access it, and we will give you tips and everything. So yeah, I think that's all. You want to say
No, I
some
think
last words, Dheeraj?
very excited for other sessions. A lot of things
Yeah,
coming up, a lot of learning coming up, guys. So stay
yeah,
tuned to our one shot show. We'll post
one
all
shot.
the files. All right.
Yes. All right.
Amazing.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.